Virginia Foxx.
Gentlewoman from North Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague, Mr. Petri, for yielding me some time. When I was going over the bills for this week, this bill sort of flew out at me. It seems like a very innocuous bill, like motherhood and apple pie, the kind of thing that we should be doing here. We know that there are a lot of people needed in the maritime industry. I visited the Merchant Marine Academy last year, had a wonderful visit there, and was told by the administrators there that there's huge demand for their graduates, that they have about 10 job offers for every graduate, and that we need more people who have excellent education and training in the maritime skills. However, this bill, I think, is not doing what we would like for it to do, and it raises more questions, I think, than it answers. I've asked some of the questions of the staff, and I don't get the kind of answers that I think we need to be getting. I'm very keen on our having accountability for any way that we authorize or spend money, and there's really no accountability in this bill at all. There's no statement of the demand. It says that there were 162,000 jobs in the U.S. water transportation sector up in 2006, up from nearly 48,000 jobs recorded in 2002. And it says in the summary there's a perceived future shortage of workers, not an actual one. So, you know, we're going to authorize a program for a perceived need. The headlines out this week are that our military has gone way beyond its goals in recruiting people, and I suspect that with unemployment as high as it is right now, many people are going into skilled trades programs trying to get the kind of licensure they need to get jobs. But again, this bill doesn't present that information. It doesn't say that there are people being turned away from these state programs that are helping these people get the skills they need. It doesn't tell how many people are being turned away from the Merchant Marine Academy. I'm very much concerned that this program is going to be a lot like a program that was funded in 2004 with an earmark requested by David Price, which gave $10 million in the federal budget to a program at UNC Chapel Hill for a new effort to help deployed soldiers of the National Guard and Army Reserves. An article has said 5 years later, the Citizen Soldier Support Program has spent $7.3 million, but the money has accomplished little for the people it was supposed to help. And, Mr. Speaker, if possible, I would like to enter into the record the complete article that I'm referencing.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It goes on to say that an internal review found that the program produced reams of paperwork but few concrete results. Because there's no accountability in this bill, we're giving a huge discretion to the Secretary to handle this money. We're not outlining the kinds of things that we as a Congress should be outlining. We're not demanding any kind of results from the money that's being spent, and it's a lot of money. It's $110 million over 2010 to 2014, $22 million in 2014. There's a program to give $10 million for grants to maritime training institutions to establish demonstration projects and other programs to increase mariner recruitment, training, and retention. No evidence that such programs need to be out there. Again, we don't know how many people are already applying for such programs. This money also is going to be available to unions, to community action groups such as ACORN. It's going to very nebulous groups of people, and I have a great concern again about how we're going to have any accountability from this program. We in Congress have an obligation to make sure that any money that we're spending is being spent as well as it could be spent. We have a almost 10% unemployment rate in the country. We're taxing people who are working for a living, and we're taxing them to give the money to programs like this that for which, again, there's no accountability and no idea that we're going to get our money's worth out of it. I just think it's very unfair to the American public. We may need to do this kind of program. I know that the merchant marine people told me that we need better educated and better trained people, but I don't think this is the right program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
I yield myself such time as I may consume. I'm sitting here and I'm amazed with what I just heard. We spend phenomenal amounts of money on so many things, and we're talking about mainly young people simply trying to have an opportunity to be all that God meant for them to be. We've got a situation where we have an industry that is growing, and the question has arisen many times is whether we are, as a country, being innovative. Where are we preparing our people for the opportunities that come forth? Are we sitting back and allowing them to get to a certain point, and then when they try to enter the doors that will allow them to rise up, to go into the fields that they want to go into, then we say, sorry, too bad, all the money's gone. There's something absolutely incredibly wrong with that picture. It's very easy to come down and say, the Mariners don't need this money, when in fact the cost of a Mariners education has gone up tremendously. It's very easy to say that we don't need this when the age of our folks who are in the industry is at 50, and we need to begin to bring in new people. And we're constantly talking about jobs in America and making sure that our people have the opportunities that they deserve. Something is wrong with the picture when their opportunity comes up, and next thing you know, we take a hike on them. One of the things I will say is that this industry is growing. We've had a little bit of slowdown here recently because of the economic situation, but anybody who knows anything about the maritime industry knows that we will be increasing after this economic situation is over, and will be increasing to at a very rapid pace and to a very large extent. And so while I respect the gentlelady for her comments, what I will say is that this is money that is needed, and it is money that, as I've often said, our children are the living messages that we send to a future we will never see. The question is what kind of message do we send to the future if our children are unprepared? If they're unprepared to take on the responsibilities that lie in front of them? Must we always go overseas to get people to come to do these jobs? We're trying to educate our own, and that is what this is all about. Mr. Speaker, I have no other speakers, and I would assume that the gentleman would have a closing statement. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Maryland reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
I have no further requests for time and yield back the balance.